Hey everyone, and welcome to yet another Hunt Developer livestream, this time talking about update 1.4.8. And we are here with our usual guest, or almost host, Dennis.
Hi.
And myself. And this will be an interesting update, but before we dive into that, we have some news for you, so let's just talk about that. So we have some community updates. If you were active on our social media or our website, we had some news for you, so let's take a look at them. And the first is sadly a bit unfortunate news. This year has been really rough for everyone, for our dev team, for everyone else in the world, and so we unfortunately had to delay 1.5, the update itself and some of its main features. Which is obviously the boss that we had announced earlier, and the customizable
ammo.
Customizable ammo type. Yeah, thank you. So I think we talked a bit about those earlier, but sadly those moved to the next year. But we also released something cool for you to see. So we don't really want to comment on those right now, but you know, those are something that you should probably pay some attention to as well.
Yeah, you can all go check it out on our game's webpage on Showdown.com. There's like a blog post, and that has some of these new teasers and some of the stuff that we want to release 1.5. Even though it didn't make it with this year, at least we want to make sure we end the year with you guys having some of that information, at least, because some people have been really eager in learning more about the boss, learning more about the upcoming map. So yeah, we prepared a little bit something there for you.
Exactly, but it's not all bad news, because we are still having this bigger update 1.4.8, and it has many or most of the features from update 1.5 still, so don't worry, and that's what this stream is gonna be focused on. So
yes,
let's
couple
learn
really
about
cool
that
things
together.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's just dive into it right now. So, we are having very new looting options. You may know that in the last updates we added like lootable weapons on the map, and before that we added a cash register and such features, but now we have even more. So
like an important thing that was for us was to say that like we add more meaningful things for the players to do as they roam the bayou, right? So obviously it's very important to play the objective. That's the main purpose of a match in Hunt, is to like see if you can get the bounty, kill the players on the way, and just have a good time there. But we also want to make sure there's like enough things for you to explore and maybe just like get some more interesting, meaningful things along the way through exploration rather than, for example, combat. So these new looting options are basically different types of rewards that you can find scattered around the world, similar to what Benz was saying, like where we already had the weapons and the cash registers, etc. There's just more meaningful, more interesting things. So maybe you guys want to check out the little hut over there just to see if anything interesting is inside.
And actually we have a lot of things for this, so it's not just one small thing, but we have multiple options. So let's just start with the first one, which is envelopes.
Oh, yes. So basically, the different categories we have, like we try to group them together, and the envelopes actually is consisting of a number of different pieces. Think of it like that: like someone in the bayou has been roaming around and preparing these envelopes. And they contain some very useful information for you or for the hunt, and you can find them, you can collect them. It's a very standard mechanic in games, I guess, like finding like some collectibles. In this case, though, they do give you some gameplay advantages, which is something we're gonna go and explain right now.
Exactly. So when you find envelopes, they can give you either 1000 Hunter EXP, 500 Bloodline EXP, or 3 to 6 upgrade points for your Hunter.
Yeah, I think like especially the last one is going to be a very big one. So obviously much of these like depends on whether you make it out alive, right? Like to have the full potential, right? Like the Hunter XP goes directly on the Hunter. So technically it also gives you like levels and upgrade points and just like progresses your Hunter forward, which is I think is something that kind of like gives you a bit of a speed boost, especially if you have a new Hunter, you find one of those, you already come out of the bayou like in a better position. The Bloodline XP is actually interesting on two sides. It's mostly attractive for those people who are still grinding through the progression or have recently prestige, for example. I mean, as you know, like 500 Bloodline XP is roughly what you need for a rank jump in the early game. And then as you move forward through the tier 2 and tier 3 ranks, from rank 34 and rank 67 respectively, it costs you like 1,000 and 1,500 different like basically by one. So if you collect like 2 or 3 of those envelopes, it's basically also a full rank jump. So it's just something that kind of like helps you to kind of like speed boost through the progression a little bit. And the last one is actually, I think, very interesting for a particular type. I mean, obviously, every player benefits from that, but so just imagine you go into the Bayou with a level 50 hunter, right? Like, so you've spent all your points on upgrades, like on trades, and or maybe had to replenish a couple of health chunks along the way. By finding one of those envelopes, you actually give this hunter a fighting chance. Like, you can actually use that to maybe like give him better traits if still has some slots open, or maybe you can restore some health chunks. So there's like a reason for you to go search for those with like a different type of hunter, in this case like a maxed out hunter, in order to keep him in the game.
Exactly, and I already see people asking, is it only when you actually extract from the mission, like the cash you find, or is it doesn't matter if you extract or not?
So if the XP obviously is reduced when you die, right? Like, so you know from the summary screen, if your hunter dies, you only earn half the XP, and that goes directly into the bloodline. That's a normal rule set we have, right? Because obviously there's nothing on the hunter to level anymore because he just died. But that means basically you still have a chance to get some of that XP, like the hunter XP, also technically into the bloodline if you fail the mission. But the bloodline XP specifically is giving you a big chunk directly into the bloodline, where normally it only trickles down, as you know from the summary screen, like in different droplets, depending on how many hunter levels you make in a round. So yeah, it's something that just gives you a bit of a speed boost.
Yeah, that's cool, because then actually you still keep some of it, unlike some of the other things you can pick up. So
yeah, exactly. Nice. The only thing that's really lost is obviously the upgrade points, because I mean your hunter that you would want to spend them on, he just he's rotting on in the bayou somewhere.
Poor guy.
Poor guy or girl.
And we have some images of each of these changes. So let's look at some of the envelope examples. We have 3 different kinds. So as you can see, this is the envelope for gaining hunter EXP.
Mm-hmm. It's also interesting, as you can see, like you will not only find them like on tables and crates and boxes, right? Like where you would normally find ammo packs, etc. You can actually also find them on like new spawn anchors that we put on the wall, which are like on the wall. So like someone like put it on a nail there and made it so that people are more likely to actually stumble upon them.
And wait, I had a very funny question. If you collect a lot of these, does Slenderman come to chase you?
You never know. You never know. I mean, it's a good measure, and if I usually always check your back once in a while. There's also the question regarding the teammates, right? So these follow the rule of 2 that we have for everything else in the game as well, like bounty, ammo, etc. So up to 2 players can interact with those. So if you're playing in the trio, you need to, as normal, do a bit more coordination, who will be allowed to do it, or usually it's basically just the guy who runs there first. But it's something where players need to coordinate. So they have 2 charges and a player can interact once, but I mean a total of 2 players can benefit from it.
That's cool. Let's look at the other versions as well. Actually this is like the same but in a different location, I guess. And we have one with the upgrade points. So each has like really cool arts. And they look really cool and can be on any walls or anywhere hidden, basically.
Yeah, I really like that they have like this different graphics on top. Like, so one here you see like this a bit of like a tarot card, almost like kind of like tucked underneath, and you never know what cool information might be inside. So like, just looking for these envelopes, I think, is going to be a pretty fun part.
Really cool. So let's move on to the second addition to the exploration, which would be small bags or money bags.
Exactly. So this is a very straightforward one. I mean, we all know the cash registers, right? Both the one that we have in the game for quite a while, which gives you $100, like between 50 and 1,000 randomly, and also the newer golden cash register, which gave you blood bonds. Now we have these small bags, and they're a lot more common, and they can give you either a handful of hand dollars or a handful of blood bonds. And with a handful, with the dollars, we mean like less than 25 and a random number. So sometimes I just get like 3, 4. Sometimes you get 10, 15. It's just minor stuff, right? But the thing is, like, they add up because they're much more common than the cash register. So you might just like, if you take a look left and right, you might be seeing one of those and just get like a bit of a quick boost. Just pick the cash, take it along. For the blood bonds, I think it was like a range between like 2 and 3 or so that you might get. So it's smaller amounts, but they're more frequent, and therefore they can still add up to quite some nice amounts as a bonus.
It's perfect to clean your weapon after the game if you find some. And let's take a look at these as well. So as we said, we have the 2 variations. They look fairly similar. This is the like a regular hunter dollar money bag. It's like a small little pouch left there by some hunter And the same with blood bonds. It's another pouch. It's a bit cooler looking, different colors, but
a bit darker. Yeah. So we intentionally made it a bit more so that it's going to be a bit of a more challenge. Like it's much easier for the players to miss those, right? So you really want to maybe check those corners there if something interesting is in there. So they're not as obvious. They're not like a big heap of golds that like kind of like shines nicely at you from a distance. No, you need to look for those a little bit. If you find them, well, take them along.
Cool. And then we have even more than this, which is gun oil and blueprints. I think this may be the two biggest ones.
Yeah, it's the ones I personally like, at least, because I like to clean my guns. The gun oil is basically just like a little can of gun oil, and if you interact with it with your currently selected weapon, it will just clean that weapon just right there for free. So, for example, you might have just picked up like a nice legendary from a guy you killed with like the best shot you ever made, and now it's dirty though. And maybe if you see like the gun can like the oil can, you just basically have a chance to clean it up right there. It's more of a gimmicky kind of small thing. Some people do really appreciate having clean weapons, others don't care and actually like them to be as dirty as possible. So it's up to the player if he wants to use them. It's just like a variety. It's just a couple of things that you can come across, and I personally am looking forward to the gun oil because it saves me 2 blood bonds. I would always spend after the mission because I always clean my guns.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I just really want to see the legendaries usually, so I clean them. And but let's talk about the blueprints, which is also very, very interesting.
Yeah, so the blueprints basically they follow a similar structure. Like you need to interact, and it affects your currently selected weapon. And in this case, it unlocks right away, right there, the next variant for that weapon in the upgrade tree. So, for example, if you're playing the Winfield C start weapon. Where you have a couple of variants you need to unlock, right? Like there's the silencer version, there is the marksman version, and if you are, let's say, you're a new player and you haven't really spent much time in the game with these weapons, but just finding them, it just completes the current unlock progression you're currently tracking. Like maybe useful, for example, if you have a Mosin Nagant after Prestige, which takes quite some time until you have like all of the versions like Sniper, etc., Aftermath unlocked. It just basically allows you to shortcut to the next one right away. So it just speeds things up a little bit and gives you a chance to get faster maybe to a variant you're looking for and grinding for.
And let's look how they look in game as well. So this is the gun oil. It's a really pretty oil, and you can clean your weapons with it.
Yeah, well, guess what?
It's Wagner's gun oil, I guess. And then there are the blueprints, which can be also found in different locations, just like the envelopes on the walls. These can be hidden, as you can see, almost under some dirt on the floor. Yeah, and this is actually, I think, there's just a different angle so you can see the schematics. But we also have one more image, which is like, you can even see it even better, that it talks about weaponry, and it's some blueprint, quite literally.
Yeah. So the question is, for example, like how does that work with tools or stuff like that, right? Like, so it basically depends on the family a certain thing is in. Like, for example, we have the poison family, like the unlock family for getting you all of the different poison things like poison bombs and the poison trip mine, etc. So whatever item you have, it will progress that item's family to the next step. So with a rifle, obviously it's mostly that weapon of the same type, but we have like the deception category, for example, with the decoys. So it would basically then, depending on what you use, it would just progress you with this particular family to the next one. Fatality shots, etc.
But does it progress the one that's in your hand, or
yes? The
so
one
you can basically decide what you want.
You can decide before you interact. Like the one that you have in your hand is the one that kind of like decides.
I'm already seeing a lot more uppercuts coming. Okay, and I think we still have one more addition to the game, at least for the exploration.
I think there is like the skeleton key kind of snuck into this somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, take a look at the video.
Wait, we first want to talk about it, or the video first?
No, I think the video that is currently playing there, I think that your screen just snapped back to the Halloween event weapon.
Wait, really?
Yeah, at least I see it right now.
Okay, well, sorry, but I think now we see the trait charms on the stream, so let's talk about those, Dennis. And we also will have a video for that, actually. So, and that's also one of the more interesting ones, in my opinion. So you can find some very nice looking skeletons on the map, and they actually add a random trait to your hunter.
Okay, you might quickly want to check out the stream though. I think there's some people are saying they're seeing like the Halloween event stuff they're playing rather than the current one. Is that correct?
I don't think so. I'm like looking.
Okay,
on my
okay,
phone.
then it's fine. Then it's fine. Then it's fine.
Don't listen to the trolls. Then it's
You never know. You never know. There's different story. Okay, so the next point then in the list is the trait charms. So that's another thing that you can find in the world, and the trait charm is basically adding a random trait to your hunter. And the difference to the other ones we talked about is like which only give you some stuff basically after the round. This one does it right there in the round. So the cool thing here is that you can actually like upgrade your hunter live, right? Like you will also see what trait you would be getting. So it's your choice before you start the interaction. You just look at the prompt, like what it says, which trait it is. And if it's interesting to you, you can interact with it. If not, just leave it be. So you don't get the trait forced on you. Maybe you don't even want to. So it's a bit of quality of life thing in there. Like it makes it easier and better for the player to decide. And then that if that trait comes to effect right there at this very moment. So I think that's actually pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I think we have an image of it first, and then we also have 2 videos how you can get it. So as you can see, it looks like some cool skull or an item left.
Yeah,
it's a skull, right? Left somewhere, and it even tells you which trait you will acquire by picking it up.
Exactly. It's also like there's a second point to it. So you can find them lying around in the vault, like where you would find maybe the envelopes or the money bags and the new rewards we added. But also there is another way for you to get them, that is through meatheads. So what you can do is you can basically like kill a meathead, and then with a high chance, I think it's 50-50 chance almost, you can basically find one of these traits, which I think is very, very powerful. So you might want to go hunt for a bit more meatheads, because they might give you a chance to fast track your hunter a little bit through the progression.
And it also gives you a lot of weapon XP, so it's very worth now. And but let's take a look how that works actually in action. So let's just look at the video.
I see like a little slightly new supernatural effect on it as well, like similar to what the clues are, right? So this is also where you can find them a little bit better underwater.
Yeah, and as you could see, like the meathead just dropped it on the floor, and you can interact with it, like usually with anything else, and it tells you the trait, and then you can pick it up, and now we have Quartermaster. And we also have another video of this, so let's look at that as well. It's just another example with the meathead dropping another charm.
This time it rolled to the left.
Yeah, at least you can see that it's a skull, and it actually like drops on the floor and rolls.
It's your new little companion skull. Yeah, I think this is something I'm personally really looking forward to trying out a bit more on the servers, because like it just gives you a chance to just like save a couple of traits along the way, and even a new hunter can become a lot more effective. Even the free hunter technically could have a couple of traits available to him in the first mission, depending on how you play, right?
Normally, yeah, and I think it's also quite nice for like when you prestige, let's say, or you're a new hunter, so you have more traits to play with right from the get-go, other than just unlocking the very few one that you have in the beginning.
And people already noticed the teaser that we'll get back to in a second.
Oh no, goddamn.
all good, all intended.
Yeah, definitely. So,
all right, so yeah, go ahead. Let's talk about the second point.
Yeah, so we went through the new exploration stuff. That was that big portion, but we have way more to show you today, and one of this is the Watchtowers.
Yes, it's something that we mentioned briefly as a name. We dropped it as a name in the blog post, right? And people were like, "Whoa, what does it mean? What's so much?" We do have the hunting towers, or what are the Watchtowers? What does it do? And basically, the Watchtowers, they're like a new type of structure that you can encounter on both maps. And this is also like one of the things we started building a little bit for the new map, and we thought this is so cool. We want to have it also on the old map. So while the new map is still a bit out, as we outlined, right? We at least get a couple of improvements here. And I think this makes some of the places that you will encounter them a bit more interesting and spice things up a little bit. So There are 3 locations where we can find them. There's one on Lawson Delta, and then there's 2 on Stillwater Bayou. So yeah, let's have a look at them.
Yeah, let's take a look. So as you can see, these are way bigger than the older hunting towers, and they look quite cool. So let's take a look at all of them. So we have multiple images from Lawson Delta and this.
Can you guess where that one is? So this is basically between the triangle of Fort Prison and Sweet Bell. So like there's like this bunker with one of the hunting towers on it. Yes. And so we swapped out that hunting tower with a new watchtower on this particular location. The bunker is still there, so it's basically even further elevated as the structure sits on top of the bunker. And you can go up there and we talk a little bit about the benefits in a second when we go through the other locations.
It's almost like a small military base right there.
Yeah, it definitely has those those Firewatch vibes for me.
Yes, exactly. There's another one. Do you want to tell them the locations for each, or?
I think this is still the one.
Same one. There's the bunker on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is the different one.
So this is a different one, and so this is the location. You might have already guessed it. This is on the north side of the lake that is at Healing Waters. If you move towards the bridge that connects over to Alice and Docks, like before you go through the forest piece, you have like this little hillside, like this slope hill on the right hand side, and on more closer to the road on the western side of this one, you'll find this position. So that's where you have that one. It's actually quite nice because you can use it to get a quite nice overview on that passage. You can even look a little bit into Lock Bay Docks from there. Very limited, but there's a couple angles you have. It allows you to have a good overview into the area right before Healing Waters, as well as even some areas towards the water, like elevated position to look down into the field better, for example, that's next to Stillwater. So I think it's a very nice spot for that one. And just spice the things up. You remember maybe there used to be a tower, or there is currently on live, there is a tower up there as well. We kept that tower, actually, the small hunting tower. We just moved it a little bit further to the east towards Stillwater. So technically you have 2 towers on that big hillside slope, the bigger one on the west, and then the old small one, which has been moved a little bit more to the east.
And I think we also have a video of the Watchtower, so let's just check that out and see how it looks in game. So this is obviously the one that we talked about, the military base one.
Yeah, that's the one on Lawson Delta, southwest of Sweet Bell Flower. Even has its own outhouse, isn't that awesome?
Yeah, I mean, you can basically just stay there and sleep there and do whatever you need to do.
This is where I'm gonna go and camp and wait for Dane to arrive. So yeah, as you can see, out of this, look, money even on top, and then the inside, it has obviously multiple loot spawns as well. We talk about those in a second, a little bit what you can usually find up there, and just a word of advice on this one, there is actually a light on the roof as well, on the ceiling. So be careful when you're in these things, because a good sniper might actually set the whole tower ablaze with a lamp shattering. So you might want to turn that off before you go inside. Just a piece of advice here.
And also, is it a bit easier to engage than it's for the hunting towers? Because sometimes people just sit on those and then it's really hard to get to them without if you don't have any explosives or such. But I feel like this has some glass windows as well where you could easily breach it.
Yeah, I mean you only have one way up, but it's actually quite nice if you take a look at this later. You'll be able to see that it's actually kind of shielded a little bit. So as you go up, you don't have a clear view on the way up from the window. So you might be able to still come around there. But also you can just try to pepper the ground from underneath, right? Shoot through the wooden boards if you have ammunition for it, and then there's different ways to go inside. I mean, this is not a fortification. This is not a place to sit and defend and having waves of hunters try to storm you and repel them all. This is a traversal thing. This is something you want to go check out. You want to see what's around that, and you might want to maybe linger around a little bit to maybe get an overview, see if maybe a team is inside somewhere, and then draw up your battle plan from there. Right? This is not a fighting position. It can be, but it's not meant to be. It's more of a watchtower. It gives you an overview, and it's just an interesting change of pace compared to the normal towers that we used to have at these locations.
Yeah, and now let's talk about like what do this actually Oh, we actually had one more image. I
Yeah.
didn't even
That's the second one on Stillwater. So this is the one that can be found north of Crematorium in the swamps. So this is basically on the way towards family graves, Blanchard graves, and you can see in the background here from the angle Lock Bay Docks basically. So it's like in that triangle. You might recognize that space. There's a couple of like white colored buildings scattered around with a pier cutting right through the swamps, and it's a little bit offset to the side there. So again, it's a nice traversal hotspot. Like people usually frequently go there. So again, this one is nice to just like maybe quickly divert, check it out, see if there's anything useful up there you want to take along. Maybe restock and maybe even take it as a vantage point to engage any of the nearby compounds from there.
I actually really like how it like sits in the swamps and it's just a tower coming out of the water. Basically, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. This is really nice.
So let's talk about them in a bit more detail.
Yeah, so basically we use the introduction of the new Watchtowers to kind of like establish a bit more rules when it comes to what you can find on them. So they have basically guaranteed supplies. It's like where normally with the towers, what we have right now is that like they might contain an ammo box, they might contain like a health station, but it's not guaranteed. They're just like any other building, any other structure. They might systemically just have some loot scattered and found around them. They are not like perceived as a supply point or thing, which just gives you guaranteed reward. And that's something we changed now with the Watchtowers, where you will always find two things in the Watchtowers. They can be random, what it is, but they will always be either like a mix of ammo box, health station, or even a weapon drop. Like when we talk about a weapon drop, we talk about the same weapons we introduced systemically into the world recently. So this can be, for example, a basic Winfield C or a Romero shotgun, like stock weapons that like you would expect maybe some people who are living in that area, lived in that area, would be hanging over their fireplace, right? But like nothing hunter specific. Like the one exception that we had with the other spawns was like there's like I think below 1% chance for a nitro even to spawn there, but that's pretty rare. So you can find some guaranteed supplies up there on the Watchtower. It's two things, and again from that random list it picks them. So it might be sometimes it's two ammo boxes, maybe it's an item box and an ammo box, maybe it's a health station, like it's like that type of stuff. So it gives you a bit more variety.
It's almost like a smaller supply point, but it's mixed with like a hunting tower, and it's always the same location, so that's kind of cool. And like you know that you can go there to like stack up on something at least.
Yeah, but also keep in mind other people might be seeing that advantage as well and just keep on aiming on them with a sniper scope, right? So it's a double-edged sword. But I think they just provide a bit of alternative pathways and just break things up a little bit. And I think it's something that we all know we would love to get the new map out to you guys faster. But I think it just takes some time. But at least we can start to break things up a little bit and maybe fight some of the monotony of having encountered always the same places, but just introducing some of these cool things also in the first two maps basically. But the question is now, what happens to the other towers? And we try to do the same thing as well there. We just only have half the supplies. So you will find like at least one box there, and it can be like ammo, like white walk, health box, weapon. So it's the same things you can find. It's just like not as many of them. But if you go to one of those towers, they will always find something useful there. It's not that the tower will be completely empty, unless obviously other hunters have been there and already looted the place.
Yep, and I think we also have a video of that, so let's just take a quick look at that as well.
Yep.
So as you can see, this is basically an old hunting tower, but now you can find, let's say, a medkit in it. How nice.
Yeah, so like actually interesting here is like so I think the ammo box is still spawned on the ground, but like the smaller stuff actually is like on this little shelf there behind. So it's something that something new for players to remember. Like maybe look behind there as well, because it could be sitting on that shelf. And
as you said, there's a small chance that you find a nitro there. So
very small chance, but yeah, I mean, go and check all the towers out. You might be lucky. I mean, it's not like there will be weapons left and right around every corner, right? Like, so the weapon spawns are still pretty rare, like we had when we introduced them last time. But there's a chance for it to be there, and I mean, can be pretty cool for a fresh hunter or for a new player, like just to find like something that is maybe punching higher, like above their class, basically above their weight class. And I think it's nice to find that also, like if in case like you're kitted out for a sniper and you need to push that compound, maybe you find that Romero actually around the corner. And I think for that it's actually it's nice to have options. So yeah, I think the towers have a much clearer language that way, and I think people will perceive them maybe a little bit more as, like as you said before, like it's like a bit of a mini supply point in a way almost.
Yeah, and it's like now we have like basically 2 different varieties of towers as well, and like it's also like a bigger building, so I think it's pretty cool. I think someone asked if you can you climb on the roofs of the hunting towers, or can you not?
You cannot go on the top. We actually thought about that, but we discussed it, and it was a bit too weird because like it just feels like really awkward. We want the player to basically be on the level that's meant to be, which is like with the railing, the hand railing basically, and the outer walkway. And I think for that purpose they're already good. Like for example, the one that is on Lost and Delta, like the elevation is actually high enough so that if you're aiming towards Fort Carmack on the west-southwest side, like you have the roof with a lift that allows you to go up there, right? Or you can climb up. Normally, the angle where you fight people that are up on that roof is very steep, right? You usually can't cover the entire roof unless you're maybe like somewhere in Ironworks or so, like on the same level. But with that tower, actually, you're high enough that you can see further onto the roof, which means it's much easier for you to somehow like maybe engage people and try to have like a counter against a team fortifying themselves up there.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. It just adds more variety to game, and it's also pretty cool. But that's not all that we have for you today. We have also new weapon variants, as always. And I think you may like this one a lot, especially... Okay, you will find out. But let's look at the first one, which is a Winfield musket bayonet, basically.
Yeah, and, so you kind of saw that a little bit teased there in that meathead trade video. The Winfield musket. So musket's such an old-fashioned term. Why call it a musket? It's because basically back then, very often, the term for a military rifle was to be a musket, and the attempt here was to basically have a military contract for a Winfield rifle, and as such, this was specifically made and offered for military contractors. It didn't really get too much, I think, usage in the end, but still for us in Hunt, very, very interesting because it offers you the chance to have not only a Winfield with a extended melee option by having the bayonet on top, it also is in general a little elongated weapon. It's like the barrel and the tube magazine underneath are just a little bit longer than a regular Winfield, and that means it can actually hold 2 additional rounds in a magazine over the regular one. So you're going to 17 rather than 15 rounds extra. Like in a magazine capacity. The whole thing comes at a disadvantage, however, because of it being a bit more cumbersome, a bit more heavy-handed. It actually levers at a slightly reduced speed. So it's not massive, but if you know like the differences in fanning speed for the revolvers, you can probably get like a feeling of what to expect there. So this one is just like not as good for levering with a high frequency like the normal lever guns can do. That's basically just a downside of being a bit of a bulkier weapon.
And it will cost $137 $100 currently, so you never know. But yeah, that's...
Yeah, so this is kind of in line like with what you normally pay for, like Winfield, Swift, or Talon, and all of the other versions we have.
And some people in the chat already asked, like, how is the unlock path for this one? Like, is it coming after or before?
It's basically at the end of the line. So I think the Swift is the current last one to unlock for the Winfield. Keep in mind, this is not a Winfield C. This is a base Winfield unlock, right? So like the same family where you have the aperture side version, where you have the Talon version, and they have the Swift version. And this is basically like the last entry in that category.
So it is the coolest Winfield, basically. But we also have actually 2 videos of this one, just showing how it looks for you guys, and one of how it actually is in the game. So let's just look at those.
Yeah, as you can here, you can see already like there's a lot more wood along the length of the barrel, right? Like the whole thing is like kind of like a musket, like a little bit more military looking, and then obviously has like a bit more reach also with the bayonet. So it kind of feels like similar to like, for example, a Mosin Nagant with a bayonet, right? It has like similar dimensions on this.
Yeah, it even reminds me of the Mosin a bit.
Yeah, I think
But
like
it
visually,
sounds like a Winfield.
visually, it even I think like the bayonet etc. is a little bit longer even than what you have on the Mosin gun, but it doesn't change anything on the gameplay side. It's like the melee attack is somewhat identical to what you can expect from the Mosin gun.
Yeah, let's just look at this a bit more, and then we are gonna take a look at the gameplay. But I think it looks really cool. I can't wait to have a legendary for it. That will probably look really sick.
All in due time.
Yeah. And here's some gameplay. Even the sight is a bit like a Mosin, or...
No, I think that's the part of it. It's pretty much the same. You need to play more. You need to play more Winfield. I think the front side is a little bit changed, right? Like because like the front is different, but the back side, like the rear side, I think is the same as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm wrong. I wouldn't even be able to tell you 100%.
Yeah,
but
sure.
But
it just feels longer, maybe like it's a bit further.
It's because the barrel is longer, I suppose, that like the side might feel a bit different. That's true. Like you might have like a bit more of a needle perception for the front side that way.
And
so yeah,
what is the difference between its heavy and the light attacks? Like like does it poke or slash?
So it's a bayonet. So it does the poke attack, like a stab attack. That is again just like the heavy melee attack on a Mosin gun, for example, and it just does the normal dashing attack that you would have with also like a normal rifle that has a bayonet. If you do a heavy attack, that is. So it behaves exactly like you would expect from bayonet in the game.
Yeah, awesome. But I think we have some other variants to talk about as well. And the next one has a very long name. So this is basically the Nagant Officer Carbine Deadeye.
Oh yeah. Deadeye is I think something that people really appreciate having on a Nagant carbine. But the Nagant carbine is a headshot machine, right? Like I think people appreciate the gun for when you're in the sweet spot range for it, like to be a very very powerful choice. And obviously it still suffers at range where it gets outclassed by long ammo quite easily, but like don't underestimate that weapon. And the good thing is like the officer and especially the carbine version, like it kind of works out of the box, right? You don't need any traits with it to get it to peak performance. It's a very reliable base option, and having now the Deadeye version for it just means that the whole thing becomes a bit more intimidating at medium range, because fighting one, you don't know whether he has a regular or whether he has a Deadeye, so you might want to be even more careful peeking that corner. But it comes as a drawback, obviously. Like having a scope means having more zoom. That also means the recoil is felt much stronger on this. So this one is way less of a headshot machine than the base version is with iron sights, just because it zooms in more and you see a lot more movement in that zoomed-in view. Still, don't underestimate that gun, and that's also why we priced it quite high. So with 211, this is more expensive than, for example, a Spark Sniper. And we also, because acknowledging that the Officer Carbine is a very powerful weapon, we thought about changing the price of that as well. So we bumped up the carbine quite significantly. So it's obviously lower than the new Deadeye version, but like with 155. I think it's more properly placed for the cost what you would expect from such a gun. So it's not a cheap thing. It's something that you need to invest some money in. But I mean, it's obviously is way less than, for example, like a long ammo weapon.
You know, have you seen these memes on Reddit when people made these crazy guns when they added every attachment?
Yeah,
but slowly
absolutely.
We are getting there, you know.
We're gonna save that for hardcore mode at one point down the line.
And as for we had for the Winfield as well, let's just take a look at the videos for the Carbine Deadeye.
Nice.
So yeah, this is the 3D view again. Actually looks pretty cool. Because I think why it looks so cool, it almost looks like a rifle because of the glued up, like, I guess, what would you call it, barrel?
Yeah.
So it looks almost like an actual rifle. It's pretty cool.
It's a very, very quick, reliable weapon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's always limited by its 7 round like capacity and the long reload time it takes, like to bring it top it back up. Like a Winfield, for example, is much more flexible because you don't even need to open like any loading gates. You just like slam additional rounds in sideways, and then only if the weapon was really empty would you need to operate the lever. With this one here, you always have to do it like with a normal pistol, right? Like you have to open it up and it needs to spin the drum to position like the fresh round so it would be fired next, right? So if you only load 1 round in and you would just close it, well, you need to fire it like 6 times before that bullet comes up as it rotates through. So that's why all the spinning stuff is in there. Like the revolvers are a bit more difficult to handle, and obviously that translates over to this weapon as well as a drawback. But if you use those 7 rounds wisely, you can do a lot of damage.
And let's take a look how it looks in actual gameplay as well.
Yeah. So here, just one note. This is just like how it was recorded with basically not aiming between shots, but actually you don't need to do that, right? You can just keep the aim button pressed and you will remain in the side view and will be able to just like keep on firing while in sights because it's a double action, right? You don't need to operate any bolt, you don't need to operate any lever, you don't need to pull a hammer back. This weapon is just operated by squeezing the trigger. That means the spread is bigger because you need to apply more force, more pressure of getting the shot out. And as a consequence, however, you could technically just like keep on aiming to the sides and fire as you are already knowing from the basic carbine. So you do not need a dead eye scope smith trait for this one to stay within sights.
Let's just wait this reload animation and yeah, perfect. So I think that was it for the new weapon variants, and let's move on to the gunplay changes. And I mean, it's not technically a gun, but let's talk about the antidote shots first.
Yeah, so the antidote shot is a powerful choice, a very powerful choice, and we want to keep it powerful as well. So we didn't want to touch any of the durations where it might run out, specifically since right now we don't really have an easy way of telling you if something has run out, that's something on the HUD that is currently not there. But we felt like specifically against the spider and even the hive swarms, like it was a bit too potent. So what we did is we basically said like, you know what, if you're walking through a poison cloud and you're inhaling the poison, it's just as before, right? There is no physical damage or anything like that. It will just basically not affect you. You will not get poisoned. You will not have a green health bar, and you will not be blocked from health regeneration. You will not get any distorting effects. However, if someone is actually biting you, stabbing at you, stinging you, whatever, that damage would still be physical and still applied as normal. It's just that the poison carried with the attack doesn't have any effect on you. That means, for example, where right now on live, you can basically put an antidote shot in, and it's very easy to just like sit out a frenzy from the spider, right? Like it just goes completely crazy in front of you and biting and then jumping. Yeah. But you can mostly tank it even without having to pull out of the fight or do anything before you finish her off. And then you get full health anyways. So for this one, you'd still need to be a bit more careful now. It's obviously you can still, and a veteran probably very easily can still kill a boss without fearing for his life, but at least you cannot as easily tank the actual pure damage that comes from it. It will not poison you, but you will actually lose those 50 hit points if that spider manages to actually successfully pounce at you.
And I also feel like the antidote shots, like everyone just basically always took fun after. You can also loot like consumables or. So you just like always pop it in the beginning of the game, and everyone would be basically completely protected against all damage from poison sources. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
It's also still a trade-off, right? I mean, when we first did the change with the antidote, you saw like everybody would going for the antidote shot, but like since then, I think you're seeing a lot more people that actually are not bringing antidote shots because they would rather, for example, bring defensive tools or extra defensive consumables like a concertina bomb or poison bomb or whatever, which they cannot find in the boxes in the world, right? Like, so you have to always make a choice. Like, are you fine just bring like an antidote shot to vitality shots, maybe a bomb like a dynamite or whatever with you, and that's it, fine. Sure, but then you will never be able to find like a concertina bomb, for example, in the world. So if you want to bring that out of a sudden competes with what else you want to bring. And some people like the flexibility of bringing those more exotic pieces of equipment you can't find in a mission, and others prefer to have like the reliable, basically protection from the antidote shot. So it's a question of style and preference, which I think is fair enough. But it still remains a viable option, a very viable option actually. I think it's just you have to be a bit more careful, and maybe that hive swarm can actually be a bit more of a threat if you don't take it out in time. And, you don't pay attention.
Now that you mentioned the hive, let's just actually take a look what happens when you use an antidote shot against the hive. So let's just take a look at the video.
As you can see here, health is like dwindling down rather quickly, but you're not getting poisoned, so it doesn't impair you and doesn't impact you on the moment. You bring it down, like regeneration kicks in just as normal. Obviously, you want to be fast, so you don't lose any health chunk like amounts, and would need to use like a med station or first aid kit, etc., to top it up again.
Yeah, but it's still very helpful since like you're not super disoriented and
absolutely,
like, you can actually see what's happening.
I mean, so for example, I really appreciate the antidote shot when I play as a solo, because it just gives me a bit more flexibility. Like getting poisoned at the wrong time can really be damning, and like having a bit more flexibility, and maybe even being able to use the barrels and being able to use like a poison bomb where you can retreat or you can engage through while others can't. It's just giving you quite a bit of an advantage.
So meanwhile I switched to the spider one, so as you can see the same thing applies here. You get the damage, but not the poison effect.
I love how like spider just disappears. Like, where did it go? What? Huh? What? Where's it? Oh shit!
It's always like over your head or behind you. Yeah. Let's take a look from behind, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward and nice. It's still kind of useful, I think.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think the changes for the better. Like it brings a bit balance to the antidote shots, makes them viable, but it introduces at least some drawbacks now again.
Awesome. So, but that's not the only change we made. We also made some changes to melee weapons, or more like how they work, and we improved their hit detection, which will probably help you if you like playing with machete, heavy knives, hatchet, or talon.
Yeah, this is just a very small change. So we looked at specifically the melee hit detection for those weapons that do have like a wide swing attacks. And while the range actually of those is the same as it would be for a stab with a knife, the knife usually, like the heavy attack of the knife or bayonet, etc., is just usually much more reliable. And we tried to improve this a little bit. So obviously it's not like exactly like a knife because you could do a swing rather than a stab, but it should be a lot more precise. I think we corrected the angles a little bit, so it's less likely for you to, like, when you do the swing, to kind of like have that dog or have that grunt or whatever be not hit because of just how the angle cut through the screen. So everything is a bit lower, is a bit more level in terms of how the cut animation is. So it should make things a bit more reliable for all of these weapons. But again, like, that's something for you guys to try it on a test server and just give it a try. Which, by the way, if you might have already seen the news, the test server is up and running right now. So you can go already check out some of that stuff with the patch notes, but we will just soldier on here and continue going through the items with a bit more details and context.
So this basically means that Fisk will just win in Hunt from now on forever.
Why not?
All right, so that was a smaller change, but we have some bigger reworks happening to the ghoul trade and how it works. So now it gives you 5 health points every time you kill a nearby grunt that is close to you. Yeah, so this sounds actually pretty weird when you first read it, right? Like, so yeah, sure, why should I get a trade that gives me 5 hit points, right? The thing is, like, so we looked at how ghoul was used before, and ghoul didn't really have so much of an advantage. Like, the only time it was really useful is if you needed to loot a hunter for health during combat.
right? In any other situation, you would just look for a health station or find an item box and quickly use your medkit and then recharge it. Like it was really not that big of a thing, right? Like it didn't give you much of an advantage. Now we looked at what could be interesting, and what we wanted to introduce is a different way of getting your health topped up. And now you see like it gives you 5 HP, but keep in mind that means you can jump between health chunks, right? So you're currently at, let's say, 75 hit points. You basically are very close to a grunt and you kill it, be that shooting or melee, but you have to be really close. Now you absorb some of that monster's essence, and that way basically you get those 5 hit points, which then have moved you into the next chunk, which then systemically starts regenerating until it's full. So what you can do with that is like it opens up a completely different strategy of getting to full health, and that's something which we want to introduce alongside the vitality shots and alongside the doctor trait with the medkits and physician, etc., which are also valid options, and most of the time people would prefer those, I suppose. But with the ghoul trait, you can also add like another option to this, which might, for example, allow you to actually save some of the medkit charges you would normally have used after maybe you attacked a couple of hellhounds, and then you got bitten once or twice, and you still need to use the medkit. Now you don't need it. Just find a grunt, slash him once, and it will do the job for you. So it's nice for people who basically want to make sure that they come into the actual PvP fighting, like when they approach the boss lair, for example, or they're expecting combat with like another hunter team, that they still have most of their supplies ready. They didn't have to use any vitality shots. They didn't have to use any other things, or had to like divert and search for medkit. And obviously at that very moment you never find one. So it just gives you a bit more options. But then again, it's also still a bit situational, because you still need to have that one grunt. So like if you go through compounds which have all been cleared, maybe there are no grunts left and you have a problem. But specifically in the early game, this can be very useful. So it's something that I think opens up quite a lot of options. And we actually, because of that, because it's a new way of doing it, we kind of priced it a little bit high at the moment, and that's intentional. We want to see how this basically is being used in the test server. So at the moment, this will cost you 7 upgrade points. So it's more of a competition to Doctor. It's more of a competition to the other bigger traits, rather than just being yet another add-on on top of it. So we want to see if new playstyles emerge from this. And based on the feedback, this might be maybe lowered to 6 points or even 5 points. But we want to see first how this goes. And for that, the test server is important. Practical gameplay experience is important, because obviously having this being used by a wider audience and by you guys with your different techniques, playstyles, etc., I think it's going to be more valuable for us to price it.
Honestly, I think this is such an awesome trait for players like me that always lose this last 25 health chunk, and then is too greedy to use a medkit for it, and never finds one in the world. So, and then ends up dying to one shot from anything basically. So this is like the perfect solution for that.
Yeah, but also keep in mind, like, so, I mean, I always see the chat going like, 7, I would never pay 7 points for that. Keep in mind, we do have the upgrade points that you can now find in the world as well, right? So the entire economy about upgrade points, like your hunter levels faster if you find the hunter XP. Your hunter might get 3 to 6 upgrade points for free because he just found one of those envelopes, right? These things are changing the rules a little bit. So everything is connected, right? It's just important to see that in the bigger picture, so that like 7 points right now on live might be different to 7 points in practice as you go out on 148 servers.
That's very true. You even can get more EXP, which you would get more trade points for after the game even, so it like works in multiple ways. But a lot of people has been asking how it works in range and stuff, but why don't we just look at a video of it, and there you can actually see how it works in the game. So I just did that. So as you can see, he's missing 75 health, and it went to the next health bar, and now he wouldn't actually have to heal, right? It would just feel as normal. Yep.
Yeah, he just tops it up quickly because he wants both chunks. But you could already see the healing was already in effect. Yes. And if he wouldn't have done anything, he would have at least gotten that next 50 chunk filled up completely, and he would have just need to find another grunt maybe to then jump to the last 25er and then have that heal also. Luckily, there was another one right ahead. So in this particular situation, you didn't even need to use anything. You didn't need to look for anything. If you're pursuing a team, for example, you don't need to break away from that pursuit by looking for medkit, etc., just because maybe some AI landed like a lucky hit against you. Just like mow down some grunt along the way and continue moving on.
So does it only work in melee range, or if you shoot a grunt like nearby?
I think it's like around 4-ish or so meters. So it's free. Like for example, if you're sitting on top of a box, like and there's a grunt right next to you, you shoot him in the face, like you benefit from it. Like it's a little bit further than melee range, but you have to be very close. Like you need to absorb the essence from it, and that only works at a very close range.
Awesome. That's a really cool trait for sure. And it's like I will definitely take it way more than I used to before. Personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's also actually like I'm going to be honest. Like I'm very curious to see if this will do anything to the telemetry that we see post 1.4.8 launch regarding usage of maybe vitality shots, for example, or maybe even medkits. I don't know. Maybe some people think like this is maybe what I need, and I actually want to bring one of the other items. It's unlikely for the medkit, at least, like granted, but maybe people will bring one vitality shot less because they have one more option here. Again, it's to be seen. It comes down to where it's useful, and this one is obviously not a PvP directed mechanic. It can work there, but it's more of a traversal and PvE mechanic. But it might save you then those charges up for the proper fight that you otherwise would have depleted on the way. Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah. So the next change is with the concertina bomb. So basically, what we changed is the deployment time after it explodes. Basically, it's much quicker now, and instead of 1.5 seconds, it's only take half a second.
Yeah, so this is basically just part of an optimization we've been doing to how the concertina is being calculated and then placed in the wall deployed, and it allowed us to kind of like shorten that time. So it's the delay we had was primarily first off a technical limitation, because like it had to find like where can I place the wires. It's like quite a complicated process, and this is a bit easier now, and that saved us the time that we could shave off here, and that means you can actually use those concertina bombs a little bit more offensively, because it's much harder to get away from a concertina thrown at you within half a second than it is for 1.5 seconds. So try it out offensively. It's still going to be not as easy as a bomb, obviously, but try it out.
I mean, it's pretty quick actually, and it's scary. Like the sound that it always makes is always very scary for me. You know, these wires and then.
Yeah, the thing is also like the moment you're like in the center of that one, when it unfolds, you're dead, right? Like it instantly kills you. It's like enough damage concentration there and in the core, so that if you manage to really hit that on someone directly, even right now in live, like it's very, very dangerous. The thing is, on live at the moment, the delay makes it rather impossible, or very, very unlikely at least, to succeed with that.
So let's just take a look how it actually looks in action. That was really quick, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my.
Keep in mind, again, you might be used to how you deploy them right now, right? Like, so I just throw it very close because I still have a chance to back away around the corner. Keep in mind, it's faster now. So you might also see a bit more trouble actually, like just like placing it short notice, maybe a very close range. So it's dangerous.
It's very easy to kill yourself in it.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Awesome. Well, that's really quick, actually, surprisingly. But the sound is still there, so I'm very happy. And
someone is putting a remark out, like I just saw that in the chat. It's like, yeah, but this is going to be used to troll new players. I think a new player would probably also already gotten trolled by 1.5 seconds. I don't think that makes much of a difference, but let's see how it goes in practice.
Awesome, and let's move on to some unlock rank changes, because we have a bunch of them. So, yeah. We changed the dusters from rank 20 to rank 1, meaning that you can deal with those emulators very early on.
Yeah, so let me give a bit of an insight quickly on this one. So as you know, like we originally wanted to release a 1.5 update this year, right? We talked about this in the very beginning, and that it wasn't possible for us to follow through on this, and it instead will come in early 2021. However, with that, on the teaser that we released last week, we already shown two new unique weapons, right? You can go to the blog post and then see which ones they are, but they're new weapons, which means that we need to find their place somewhere on the unlock hierarchy, right? They need to be placed somewhere with a specific rank, and this is the rank you need to reach for you to unlock those. And in preparation for making that room, we kind of reshuffled a little bit some of the current unlock positions to not only cover for the new guns, but also to adjust a little bit some of the things we felt like could be sitting at a better spot, or just have all been sitting there maybe without actually making so much sense in the first place. So we just used that opportunity to shuffle things around slightly. And the first one on that list is that the Dusters move from 20 to rank 1, which means you have the Dusters as a melee tool choice right from the get-go. So it's really up to you and your preference for what melee weapon or melee item you want to bring into the game. And you can pick the knife and grind the variations of that, or you can pick the Dusters and grind the variations of that. I mean, you guys know how much I love the knuckle knife, but it just gives you a bit more flexibility, right?
So the other thing is that the spyglass, which unlocked previously on 24, now also unlocks at rank 1. It will be great for the hunting towers, I feel like.
And that has been a pure balancing decision because the whole thing was so OP that we didn't want to take it away from didn't want to make sure like the new players don't have access to it. No, obviously this is like we all understand this is one of the lesser used items in the world, but just making it available rank 1 actually can benefit some of the newer players, so to get a better understanding what's going around them. And in general, like it's nothing people felt like, yay, I unlocked their particular rank. I finally have the spyglass celebration. So in this particular case, I think it's okay that it's just there from the get-go. You can choose to use it or you can choose to ignore it.
Awesome. So I saw some people asking in the chat as well, but the machete actually changed from rank 12 to 24, and some people actually mentioned the machete somehow. They maybe saw my slides somehow, but yeah, it unlocks a bit later now.
Yes, so this is again part of the same thing. As you can see already, as we go line to line to line, you're always going to see like the next line going to take the spot of the previous one almost, right? Like type of stuff. So Spyglass cleared out a rank 24, so we were able to move something to 24, and we decided that the machete would be a good spot because very likely we wanted to move something to where the machete is living. So let's have a look.
And also the machete was just buffed as well, this update with the melee improvement, so it makes sense to put it a bit later on.
Yeah, it's not the reason why we did it, but sure, it's something that's related. The officer, we kind of moved from its late unlock position to rank 12. Here the choice for this is primarily to accommodate to have a choice between a weapon that complements your single shot weapon or a weapon that complements maybe your like a rapid fire weapon. So it's something that I've been preaching quite a bit with the last updates when we introduced levering in 1.3, but also when we did like other changes in last updates. I think it's very important that you always consider your equipment mix, right? If you bring two weapons which kind of do the same thing, then you don't really gain anything from it except for being better at that situation, but you lose quite a lot. For example, flexibility to engage at a further or a closer range. So equipment mix is very, very important, be it either for yourself or at least within the team, so that you can deal with different situations. And here we know that on rank 10, we do get the packs unlocked, which is a very, very powerful weapon on its own right. But without fanning, it's more of a like single type of weapon, right? You have slower rate of fire. And players don't really have any other options in the early ranks than that. And we want to ensure that at least they do have a bit of a rapid fire option as well there, because that way they can compare that, for example, with their Romero or with their Sparks or with their Martini or with their Springfield, of the weapons where maybe you want to complement that slower precision weapon, maybe with something that allows you to stand your ground in close range. And that's why the officer moved to this earlier rank rather than in 56, or is it 56? It's hard for me to read on the small preview screen.
36.
36, sorry. To actually rank 12 to make it available much earlier in the progression, which I think it makes sense because the weapon isn't the strongest. It's a very powerful weapon, don't underestimate it, but it's also not the strongest compared to some of the other unlocks you get later on, like the Bornheim, the uppercut you can unlock, etc. Lamont.
Sounds good. And I think we also have one last one, which is the Winfield, the basic Winfield, so not the C variant, from 42 to 20.
Yeah, that goes in the same way. So basically, we decided to position it directly between the Martini Henry and the Sparks, so that between those weapons you actually have like an upgraded version, or upgraded in terms of like a bit more of a different options. You can unlock variant wise and has more ammunition between those two weapons. So that again, if depending on your playstyle, you have also like a different weapon progression in this area. Like 42 always felt a little bit further back for what it was worth, right? This is normally like from that point on you get like the really powerful weapons like the bolt actions, etc. We felt like putting this a little bit earlier actually makes it more interesting for players. given the fact that you already have the sparks and the martini handle at the same time there, roughly the same time.
Awesome. But I think that was it for the unlock rank changes, but we have some even more updates for you guys. Which one of this is kind of interesting, and I think a lot of you will like it, and it's a faster weapon progression. So as you saw earlier, we added the blueprints, but that's not all.
Yeah, so now it's basically possible to overspill XP as you collect XP for a certain weapon. What is currently the case is that if you're trying to get to a specific weapon variant, you can only ever maximum progress one step per match, right? Like, so if you need like 500 XP on your Winfield to get to the next unlock, the moment you hit that, you will not be able to already move towards the next unlock after that. And that's something that we kind of changed the system a little bit behind it so that this is possible now, and it allows us to kind of grind multiple steps even in one way. So specifically in the early game where the gates are actually not that far apart, you might be able to just get to a variant that you like for example, a Springfield Marksman, etc. Like, just might be able to get a little bit earlier to some of those. And obviously it also benefits any other weapon later on. Like, if you had a really good round, you might make maybe 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 steps forward with a Mosin gun path, for example. Just overall progression should be faster, which means also for those prestige players out there, you might be able to actually see more of the arsenal as you go until you're ready for the next prestige and you have to reset everything again.
So question, would this allow players to, let's say, with finding multiple blueprints, to unlock multiple variants for the same weapon with the multiple blueprints?
I think that should be systemically the case. Yeah, if you were to find multiple blueprints, you should be able to get multiple of those. I'm not 100% sure if that is actually working like that, but at least that's the intention. And if it's not working like that, it will be working like that eventually.
That's awesome. So yeah, I think that was actually like feedback for the weapon progression itself for a long time. So many of you will definitely enjoy this and have those variants quicker, whichever you want to get. And as we have more variants with every update, it's I think it even helps with that a bit. And I think that's for the weapon progression, but we have some bigger bounty hunting changes as well.
Yes, so in Bounty Hunt specifically, it's a couple of changes here. We don't have too many videos for those, but I think that people probably understand what's going on there. So the first one is you always know the situation where you have one bounty and you want to go and maybe run the gauntlet, like get the second boss as well. But you still need to maybe find the clues because no one yet has started to banish or like found them. What you had to do so far is basically either have one of your friends without bounty like spot the clues for you, or you had to waste a bit of your dark side boost time in order to see where the next clue is, or alternatively just run around until you find it eventually. Because it didn't really matter so much from a balancing perspective, we just quickly said, you know what, when you actually are holding bounty and you're moving to a clue that you can still interact with, you just get a second back. We introduced anyways recently that you can get back a second from a hunters. It just makes it so that when you actually arrive at the second boss, you still have some seconds to actually use effectively, rather than having to have them all wasted maybe on the way there and you stand there like with maybe a second left or so. So it's just a bit of a quality of life thing. It doesn't upset or do anything much on the balance, I suppose. It's just more that it doesn't feel as frustrating having to lose second just to find a clue.
Yeah, I agree. It always felt a bit awkward when you have the bounty and you're not able to go for the next boss, or at least look for the clues, because you don't really want to use up your boost. So this way it's much better, I think.
Yep.
But that's not it. So we also improved the extraction distribution.
Ooh, just casually throwing it in there. So this is actually one of the things which I'm really excited about. So this is one of the remaining points that we felt we still have to work on when it comes to the core loop of like starting, finding clues, finding the boss, killing the boss, picking up the bounty, and leaving, where we introduced so many mechanics along the way, tried to optimize and smooth the gameplay along the way. But the one thing that always felt still a bit bumpy was the situations where you went for all of these steps and you were now with your bounty in the boss lair and trying to go to the exit, and you open the map and you have all exits in one corner. And you know exactly there's a couple teams out there and you're like, okay, we have to fight through this. We'll be at a disadvantage because they will see us coming. We have only limited boosts. So it was always very frustrating, and it made it actually very easy to camp these boss arenas from the outside, right? We had like the snipers, for example, sitting in a good spot and just like waiting for that intercept. And that discouraged people from even going for the bounty to a certain extent. It wasn't the biggest issue. I think we fixed those before, but it's still one of those remaining things that always felt a little bit awkward still to have in the game. So it's a very small change, but actually the change here is that of those 3 extraction points that you will always have, one of them will always be at least 500 meters apart from the others. So you might still have a corner with 2 exits. That can happen, but at least one of them will always be at least those 500 meters away from them in either direction, right? So they might still be in a similar ballpark, right? Like it might be like north and east side, both of them. So you might still force a direction on the player, but at least there is a bit more flexibility in order to find like the best way out and not run into guaranteed ambush just because everything is in the same corner or the same spot practically. I think we do have a screenshot that shows one example.
Yeah, I think we will have right after. I think we have one more point and then we will have a screenshot to
we showed
it
in a second then.
And the last point, yeah,
go for it.
Yeah, so banishing now actually restores all your health chunks. So not like before that it even if you lost some health chunks, it only destroyed 50, I believe. But now it's actually all your lost health chunks, so you can be sure that every time you banish the boss, you will and your teammates will have full health.
Yeah, I think that's again like one of those like small quality of life things. It doesn't really affect so much, but we all know the feeling. Like I know there was a big tough fight before we even got to the boss. Like one of our teammates got even partially burned. We managed to save the day, but now he's on his last chunk, and everything is kind of like meh. We still managed to go to the boss and banish him, but then even after that, that mate that suffered so much already didn't even get the full health back. Right, like he's at like 100 or 125 hit points, and we thought like, you know what, like it doesn't really matter so much, but it's just a nice thing that know that the moment you go to the boss, the moment you kick the banish in, you are full. You're just completely as you were before, or if you had less chunks even with the mission, you are now at the max capacity with 150 hit points total, and I think that's just a nice change.
Yeah, I think everyone will just like it because now you don't have to worry or overthink it, and it's always just full health, and it makes you even want to go for the boss even more. I feel like, especially if you already lost some chunks or came to a mission without chunks because you forgot to buy them back after the mission.
Yeah, and the good thing is like it makes it just a bit more valuable also for you to like push for the boss, right? Like so you still have a chance, even if you're totally the underdog, like you can get a full comeback with that. You just need to then rush the boss, get it over with quickly, and hit that button, or maybe even steal it from another team. But you do have the chance, and if you manage to pull it off, then everything is possible again. You're back to 150.
Awesome, and as you mentioned earlier, we do have a picture of the extraction, and I think that's the upcoming one. So as Dennis said, it can still happen that you have 2 extraction points close by, but the third one will be always at least 500 meters away, as you can see it on the pictures, with 2 being on the west side, I guess, and one is on the north side, further away to the east.
So it gives you a couple options. I think specifically if you're inside the boss arena, like having the option, like it's just you scan around with dark side and you see it's like one team in the northeast, another team in the west. Shit, what can we do? You see there's an exit in the south, and not all the exits may be like in one of the team's directions. You still have a chance to just like maybe dash out there, and by the time they try to catch up, maybe they even meet and fight each other, and giving you a chance to get away. It's like having a fair distribution of exits usually makes things much more interesting when it comes to trying to outplay other guys, right? Even if your strategy is to run away and leg it and just get the bounty out safely and don't want to fight, which is perfectly fine and valid, you do have a bit more options for that now, at least more reliably. So you shouldn't be feeling as cornered and forced as you do right at the moment.
Yeah, awesome little change. And that's still not all, guys. We have a bunch more stuff. So we have interaction outline options for you to select now.
I think this is like a big one that people have been requesting quite for a long time. So even slow mode can't keep up with the chat now. The thing here is that it basically gives players 3 options in the options menu now how to deal with outlines. And this is interesting, obviously, for people who try to like create content with those, like videos of some sort. But also it's interesting for people who sometimes feel like the outlines might actually be obstructing them in finding like an enemy behind the door, etc. So I think this is actually a very, very good change. And like so, you have 3 options. You can set this to all, which is basically the current behavior. So you see outlines periodically popping up for everything which is interactable, like doors, hammers, ammo boxes, etc. Then you can completely shut the whole system off, which means you don't get any interactions on any of the things that are interactable. You will need to know for yourself, which to be fair, most veterans probably do and know. But still, sometimes having the outline can show you out there. Actually, there is this one hammer that you just did like miss before. But if you want the immersion, or if you want to record videos, etc., this is an option for you. And then the last one is a mixed set, which basically just excludes doors and windows, which I think was the biggest concern of people. That specifically, as you're trying to like attack a compound, like you might have someone sitting behind the door, and then the door is periodically flashing white, and it just can't see behind it. So now, if you want, you can completely exclude doors and windows, but you will still see it with ammo boxes and all the other useful stuff.
Yeah, awesome. And why don't we just take a look at it as well, how it actually looks in game? I mean, how some of the options look. So let's look. We have one little video.
As you can see here, everything is up. See the lanterns on the left and the door. And now just setting it to mixed means you'll still see the lanterns flash on the left side, but the door is completely without any outline, which means you can peek and look, see if you can see someone on the other side, and then just fight that fight.
Yeah, perfect. And obviously the last option would be with nothing blinking, basically, not even the lantern.
I think you guys will know what it looks like.
It's kind of obvious, but yeah. I just wanted to make sure that everyone understands. Yeah. So yes, guys, Hunt role-playing servers are possible now, so make sure to go for that. All right. And I think after this bigger change, we arrived to the beautiful part of the scene, which is the new legendaries. So why don't we just take a look at the very first one, which is Vagrant, I guess you would pronounce, and this Winfield Silencer skin.
I think it's Vagrant, but I'm not sure.
Vagrant?
Maybe it's French, Vagrant. Maybe it's German, Vagrant. Pick whatever you like.
But the main point that it looks really cool. Like, wow.
What I like about it is just like it's such a makeshift thing, right? Like this little can pieces. It's just like it's literally a trash gun.
It's so crazy,
I love it.
Yeah. Like, yeah, awesome. I really like it. It's like a meme kind of weapon for your little red shirt hunter, I feel like.
Yeah, it's also very affordable for just like 200 blood bonds. So it's something that I think it's a nice little filler legendary skin, and I do appreciate it for the memes. You want to quickly read the text for us?
Yeah, sure. So, a vagrant known as the Tin Man rattled around the city with a large bag of cans. Harmless until a malicious hunter threw them into the bay. Able to save but a few, he decorated his Winfield Silencer with their remainder and set out for revenge, silent as a whisper. So basically, he found the trash cans in the bayou and put it on his gun. So, awesome. If you're talking, Dennis, we can't actually hear you.
No, I didn't. I was just appreciating your storytelling skills.
Oh, thank you. I try to improve upon that skill compared to the last stream.
It's all good. It's all good.
Thank you. So yeah, let's just take a look at the gun in the 3D viewer as well.
As you can see, actually, the silencer is like there's like a geometry change there. Like it actually is like a can. Like obviously the inside is still basically whatever you put in a silencer, right? Like with the normal one, it's just like the outer shape is different. And then it has like lots of like stamps and little stickers from cans, so cool. from stuff on it. So it's I love it. It's actually it's a perfect gun for some of the legendary hunters that we see, right?
I can't believe it says crab on the side. That's amazing.
I mean, this basically cries out like for a red shirt to carry it into the bayou, right?
Yeah, this is amazing, and the face at the back is also really nice. So, guys, you have a new meme gun, and it only costs 200 blood bonds. So, I would definitely get it, especially with the little money bags you can find now. This is like the first purchase.
Yeah, almost. All right, let's have a look at the second one.
So the second one is the Death Letter, which is an officer brawler, and as you can see, it's like a lot of text and little things engraved into the gun itself. No fate, death.
Yeah, this is something I really like. Is I really like, especially like some crazy mind, just kind of like just like put the stuff there in with a knife probably and scratch it on. And I think actually I do like the skin a lot. What I've done in testing is I used it in combination. So I had one of those, and then I had a regular one in dual wield, and that actually looked pretty awesome.
No, that's pretty cool. It reminds me of the Joker somehow.
Yeah.
Like with all these crazy texts. Yeah, and it also costs only 200 blood bonds, so not like super expensive.
On the cheaper end, yeah, which I think was important for us as well. We wanted to just have a bit more variety when it comes to the pricing range. Also, some of the blood bonds, so there's going to be more options for players. So we'll just have a few hundred or so. Let's just maybe find something they like there.
And I guess it's time to for the story time.
Story time.
So death pens no warning of his coming. And for hunters and soldiers alike, the sound of gunfire is the only correspondence foretelling their demise. This Nagant's personalized engraving appears to reference an old Civil War ballad written by one of who would later become a hunter, delivering his own dark tidings with each deadly shot. Death incarnate. Nice. Badass. Yeah. So yeah, let's take a look at this as well in a 3D viewer.
Yep.
It's really cool how the light reflects differently from those parts of the where it's like carved.
Yeah. Let's see if the guys like managed to find all the words written on it and put it like in a Reddit thread.
Does it say bird?
Maybe.
So one gun has crab, the other has bird. Awesome.
Bird, crab bird. I really like this one.
Same, and we have one more, I think, in the store for you guys.
Yep.
From the legendaries, which is Disal's Silence, which is a Sparks LRR silencer with all the gold layout. It looks very fancy, and it costs 400 blood bonds. Oh, sorry. Which is a bit more expensive than the previous ones, but it's also way more elegant, I feel like. And it's not really a troll gun anymore. Are you still here, Dennis?
I am still here.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting for you to do the presentation.
Oh, you just want me to read it, basically, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so the favored Sparks LRR of the elder Desal brother, a man whose business ventures would not have been as successful without the occasional enforced silence. Very cool.
I like it a lot. Let's have a look at it in the 3D viewer as well. Let's spot some of the details.
Yeah. I mean, this one looks really... I really like this, always the gold, black. Although it's not really black, but... Like the wooden with the gold looks super elegant.
I like the little like small engravings and like particular details that's put on it. Always amazes me. I personally really like guns like that. Like they still have like the metal gun look, but they just have like this artifice basically all over it.
Yeah, exactly. I usually take this kind of skins as well. They are like super pretty.
So yeah, now you can go Spark Silence with additional style points.
And only 400 blood points, guys. So, I mean, that's a bit more expensive, but still not like crazy. So I think that was it for the legendaries. But
there's more.
There's like very interesting things coming up, I feel like, and you guys will be very excited to see them. So let's say what these could be.
I mean, so we talked about this a little bit in the beginning, right? Like we had the update 1.5 teaser that we released last week, where we had like a blog post. We showed some of the new stuff there, and well, we showed these images in the very beginning as well. Maybe we just want to take a bit closer look at some of that stuff in more detail, so everybody has a chance to catch up on this, and maybe we spot maybe a couple new things here and there, or be able to give a bit of context. So let's have a peek at the new boss. And you've already seen that image, but maybe some people wondering, is this actually a boss? This is a hunter? What could it be? What could it be? And this is actually a reveal of the new boss. So the hint here is a little bit of takeaway. I think I've never seen a hunter carry like a wood axe with just one hand very casually. So whatever you see there on the left side seems to be a little bit bigger than you would see from a normal hunter. So that's the hint I can give you. But obviously we will have a lot more to show and talk about this in the upcoming months leading into next year, etc. So expect some more details on this. But yeah, it is definitely the new boss that you're seeing there, and so far not much is known about him except for he looks kind of like bit of a bird theme going on there, but everything else we kind of leave in the shadows for the moment.
I mean, I think the previous gunskin was already saying bird, so now it's here. Also, there's a quote you just said basically from Discord that no hunter holds an axe. That already went viral from you, Dennis. So,
that's very good.
Yeah. So yeah, that was this, and we will have a lot more to talk about a bit later on, but not today, guys. So just take it as you will for now.
Yeah, but we showed some more stuff there. So what else did we reveal? We had a first look at some of the new upcoming weapons for 1.5. And coincidentally, those were both lever weapons. So yeah, let's have a look. So the first one, it reads even there, it's like a Winfield 1876. So as you can see, maybe some people did the research and Google what type of weapon this could be, and maybe even Google the ammunition lying next to it to get a sense of what it would be. And what we can confirm is that this is a medium ammo Winfield. Not going to tell a lot more about like capacity, etc., but you have to wait for that a little bit more. But it is definitely going to be a medium ammo Winfield.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think some people already, from the size of the bullets, already kind of calculated that it's gonna be it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been the concerns, like in general, like, oh my god, but levering OP, and one of the things is like, yeah, but you will just destroy everything with something like that. Like the same argument for the other weapon we'll see in a minute. Keep in mind, like for example, you can also fan an uppercut, but is that really the best way of using that ammunition? Sure, it's there as a last resort, but is it reliable? So what you need to keep in mind is that just because something can do a certain action, like lever or fan or whatever, doesn't mean it is actually the most powerful option. You can balance everything, and I think that's something you will also see with this gun, that levering on this one will obviously not as reliable and as effective as it might be on a 73.
Awesome, and then you already mentioned the other one, so why don't we just...
Yeah, it's a classic. Like, unfortunately, we'll never see a motorcycle in Hunt, I think. But yeah, this is I think actually one of the favorites. Like having a Winfield 1887 as a lever action shotgun. As you can already see here, with the lever action being fully open, like this thing is kind of clunky to lever, right? So same thing here. You won't just like quickly lever this thing in order to squeeze out like rounds at a very high rate. Obviously, it will also be faster than, let's say, like a pump action, but it's not like this is going to be semi-automatic terrain. So again, bear with us as we will reveal more information about that in the coming year.
Yep, perfect. So that was it for weapons, but we had probably the biggest teaser, or like close to the boss as well.
Yeah, I think it's something people were really looking forward to, like being able to just like get like a first glimpse, like some snapshots from the new upcoming map.
And actually, for the first time now, we gonna look at it even closer than we had in the blog. So are you ready, guys?
I mean, we had it already. Like, it was actually pretty awesome seeing some community members just like using it in Photoshop to kind of like trying to like bend the images and get more information out of it, and then people just sharing that and looking around. I think it was really awesome for all of us to kind of see how people try to like kind of like squeeze even more information out of this big screen, But here we actually have them individually, so it gives you guys a bit of a chance to maybe look at some of the details a bit more. So since I cannot see the captions with a small preview I have, Benz, I leave the honors to you.
I think it says Reeves Quarry.
The Reeves Quarry, yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, like a quarry theme going on here. How big is that? Where could it be? We don't know. Actually, we do, but we can't tell. So we will tell in the future. But just leaving it here as impressions for you guys. So as you can see, verticality seems to be a bit of a thing here.
Then let's move on to the second one, which is, I guess, Graph CO Lumber. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Woodworks theme, like something we have seen in the game before, maybe with a twist now. You never know. Well, again, we'll see more of that and what it could mean, what location you will find that on in the future. But as you can already see, like there seems to be a bit of water. There seems to be like what looks like a bit of a boat, and wood structures around it.
Awesome. And we have even more. I'm not sure because the text is a bit like burned, but it says pearl plantation, possibly
Mm-hmm. So this is actually one which I think some people missed. So everybody was focused very much on the table, right? Like with the images there. But like if you looked at the very back of the image, there was like another image hanging on the wall. So some people saw it, some people didn't. And well, this is the one that was in the back, and it looks a little bit more like there seems to be some sort of like, is it an overgrown old manor house, like a plantation of some sort, given by the name? So again, curious to find out more in the future about what that means, where it's located, and what the story behind it is.
And the last image we shared is Happy Day, which could refer to anything, but who knows? What could it be?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a bit of a pavilion type of thing in the background. So maybe like where people would have met and had like some nice parties and maybe listen to music with people there playing instruments. So very nice structure. It looks a little bit more posh, a bit more classic. So where could that be? Where could that fit in? Is it part of the same plantation? Is it someplace else? We'll find out in the future.
Awesome. And I think that's it for the teasers for now, guys. So it's time for your questions. So if you have any questions right now, please make sure to ask them in the chat. And we also have some collected by our lovely moderators. So let's go through those quickly. So someone is asking what happened to the character customization, and will it still come, or
we still have that on the list. It's not a 1.5 item, so the 1.5 items will be the custom ammunition and the boss. That's the focus for that update. But as we get closer to those, obviously we're gonna keep on updating roadmap, keep on updating what the new things are. Like people who are familiar with our roadmap, they know quite a lot of things are still on that, or have been on that in the past, and these are all things that we at one point in the future would like to get to and implement. But one thing at a time. Let's first make sure we can finally release 1.5 that we wanted to release this year. Unfortunately, we're not able to. I think everybody understands it was a bit of a tough year for everybody. So hopefully we can keep up like the release stuff next year and actually increase the momentum and give you guys more cool stuff faster.
Yes, and another seems like everyone wants to know is about the next gen update, and I think we already mentioned it in the last streams and the blog as well, that we want to do something, but we are still looking into it basically, so we can't like give you a definite answer, just let how it will work and how it will happen exactly.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, then a lot of people asking questions that I can't answer right now, but
yes, yeah. there was one I can pick. So someone is asking if ghoul, like the reworked trait ghoul, if that works with grunts or will it work with other monsters, like for example armored and emulator. And ghoul is just very much tailored for the grunts. So we want to make sure the grunts also have a special purpose now. So they're special in their outright by being not special, but they are actually vessels for you to absorb the energy from on kill when you're close. So only with the grunts does the ghoul trait work.
Someone asked, will the effective range of the compact ammo will be reduced or?
No, we're actually very happy with how we changed compact ammo early in the year. I think that was one of the better changes we did when it comes to making sure that weapons stay relevant. We had and we still have a very strong long ammo meta. That's just a fact. I think it has been adjusted a little bit with the latest changes we've been doing in the last updates. But still, we want to make sure that even with a gun pistol, a Corvo conversion, or Winfield, any of the other weapons, you are competitive. Like the moment you need to like 3, 4, 5 shots to kill someone at range, there's no way in hell anyone would be using these guns. And we've seen it in the past where basically everyone just run around with the same few long ammo weapons. What's important in Hunt is that there's such a flat balance or intended flat balance with the arsenal that we want every weapon to be able to succeed and be part of a viable loadout kit. Some of them are still struggling a little bit, granted, but for the most part, I think we moved a lot closer to that goal by doing the changes we did to compact ammo early in the year, and we have no intentions of reverting those.
Awesome. So a lot of people has been asking about the custom lobbies and reconnect features. So these are still obviously in our plans, but these features take longer time. We have like other priorities currently, as you can see with all the upcoming stuff. This update, next update. So we can't say when those come, but we are still looking into them, and it's something we definitely want at one point.
Yeah, it all comes down to priorities and the roadmap. So we're going to work this down the list from our top priorities. And then at one point, we hopefully get through most of the points on the list, but all in due time. And at the moment, there are more important things than those listed, but they're being investigated.
So some people have been asking that now that we added the outline options, will they have like a transparency option for the ping markers, or can they turn it off or change it?
Well, we might be able to do that in the future, but I mean, there can be disconnected features, right? I mean, and so it's basically saying, hey, you gave me feature A, can I now have feature B? Which is fair enough. You can ask for that, but they're not related. Just because we got one doesn't mean it makes it any easier or any less work to create another. So sure, it's a valid request, and I think we do have it on the list somewhere, but when we will be able to get to that, I do not know.
A lot of people asking about Linux support, interestingly, which I can't really comment about. I don't think it's really planned. Sadly, we don't have any technical designer here, but I don't think Hans will work on Linux right now.
No, that's yeah. I mean, we've made the game in a particular way, and that is on particular platform with particular software, and like bringing this out on another game platform like a Linux or Mac or whatever. It's just not what we can do right now. Sorry, like this game is built for the platforms it was built for, and that's going to be the platforms we have it on.
Yep. So questions that we have mentioned sometime before is again that when we'll be able to customize our equipment, maybe like save equipment that you want to take on hand.
Presets, basically.
Presets,
is the question.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's something we have on the list, absolutely, and it's actually not too far or like towards the bottom. It's actually an item that ranks pretty high. It's a quality of life improvement. I think that we all can agree that would be nice to have that. So yeah, we have to see when we can get to it, but it is something that we are also wanting to release.
So someone asked that now we nerfed the antidote shots. Will the price stay the same, or will it also decrease?
No, the price will actually stay the same, which I think is actually reasonable, because for the most part, you can still do everything you could do before. You just have to be a bit more careful. I mean, it only affects those people who basically just completely ignore a hive, completely ignore a spider, for instance, in frenzy mode, which is, I think, just more rare situations to happen. It doesn't affect anything when you just walk through like poison clouds and stuff like that. So it is still a very valuable piece of equipment, and I think the price is more than justified.
Awesome. So will like the charms for the traits still add traits if you have full trait points, or like every trait already occupied, or what will happen if that's the case?
Well, if the glass is full, the glass is full, right? So if you already carry 15 traits, good for you. But in this particular case, obviously you can't layer anything on top. In this case, you won't be able to interact with a trait charm. But I mean, yeah, get to 15 traits first and keep that guy alive. I mean, that's the challenge, right?
Okay, and some people has been asking about poison crossbows, that now the antidote shots are changed. How does it affect the poison crossbow?
Well, it basically no longer reduces the damage, but the poison crossbow is in a bit of an odd spot at the moment anyways, right? We're aware of that, we know that, and we even talked about what will change with it in the future, right? And the custom ammo drops, right? Where this will be more of an area effect poison cloud, mini poison cloud thingy, rather than what it is at the moment where it only is on impact. So systemically, sure, yes, it does a little of a change to it as the rules for antidote change, right? That's affected by it. But will it become a very competitive choice because of that? Probably not. So let's let the poison crossbow slumber a little bit longer there, and we'll get to that one once we have a chance to release the custom ammo.
Awesome, and I think that's enough for questions. These questions right now, and there was one question that a lot of people asking, and we actually have one last thing to show you guys. Yeah. So let's just look at it.
Oh, What could that be?
Yeah, what could that be, Dennis? I don't know.
looks like it's going to be present time. So yeah, we're gonna leave you with that last screenshot, and we'll probably have a bit more to talk about soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Hope you guys are looking forward to 148. Keep in mind, it's on the test server right now. You can download it, you can try it out, give us feedback. Again, I know I'm always preaching it, but it's important that you guys play on the test server. It's important you guys give feedback for us on the test server, because that way we can make sure that the final update is then exactly what it should be. So it's important that you guys help us by investing some time on that, even if it means you can't grind that prestige maybe for a day or two longer. But it would be much appreciated if you could just stop by the test server, give a shot, feedback to us, talk about it with other people, and let's ensure that 148 can be in the best possible shape with that feedback.
Yeah, and as Dennis said, for feedback you can always message us on any social media, like just post on Discord about your opinions, message us on Discord, and we actually take it very seriously, and we always consider all your feedback, so make sure to do that, and that helps us out a lot with each update, so it's very important to test it out. But we came to the end of this stream for now, so we want to thank everyone for watching, tuning in, listening to us talk on for hours, and hope to see you next time.
Bye bye. Enjoy.
Bye bye. Good night.